Welcome, Cougars. We're so happy that you've decided to join our Cougar family. My name is Krista Wenzel. I'm the sexual violence advocate and educator here at Cal State San Marcos.
Hi, my name is Kathy Nguyen. I'm a health educator here at Hope and Wellness Center, which is our health outreach, promotion, and education, student health and counseling services, and welcome.
So today we're going to be talking about student conduct and resources, and our second part of our presentation will be about student health and counseling services. So before we dig in, we just want to acknowledge we are talking about sexual violence, so our intention is to make sure that you're informed, that you know resources. However, if this discussion has any negative impact, please feel free to take care of yourself, pause the video, do whatever you need to do to feel okay. All right, so starting with sexual violence, what it is, what are we talking about with sexual violence? We're talking about any sexual act without affirmative consent. So our university works on an affirmative consent policy. This is never the fault of the victim survivor. And lastly, we're talking about things like sexual harassment, stalking, dating, domestic violence, sexual assault, rape, and sexual battery. You might see the images of the people at the top of your screen. We bring that on as a reminder that no one is immune to this. So whatever combination of people, whatever gender identity, whatever sexual orientation, any group of people, any interaction of sexual activity has to be rooted in affirmative consent.
Okay, so now comes the interactive part of our orientation session. We asked a bunch of students a bunch of questions related to sexual violence, and they pulled out their phones, and this is the response that we got. So the first question we asked some of our students during the live orientation is, are you or do you know someone who is a survivor of sexual assault or rape? And the response was that 50% of our students are themselves survivors or know someone who is a survivor of sexual violence and rape, and the other 50% said no. Second question we asked was that have you or someone you know have experienced dating or domestic violence? And the response was overwhelmingly high. 58% of them said that yes, they themselves have experienced dating or domestic violence or someone that they know have, whereas 42% said no. And this is pretty on par with the national statistic, where it says that almost 64% of college students have known someone or have themselves experienced some sort of intimate partner violence before them.
Our third question, we asked students, have you or someone you know experienced sexual harassment and or stalking? How students responded was saying that yes, almost 3/4 of them have experienced sexual harassment or stalking. This is something that's becoming more and more common as with the digital era and online dating, really understanding stalking from a digital component. It's also an area where students typically underestimate the danger of what's happening with stalking, so we really want to make sure that you all are thinking about that, and when your friends talk to you about, hey, this person is like super creepy on Facebook or whatever, that you're asking more questions to figure out, is this maybe just somebody who's creepy, or is this maybe somebody who might be stalking or present a danger? Our last question, have you ever intervened when you saw something sexually unsafe happening? What we found is that most students have not. They have not intervened, and this is not because people don't care or they are bad people. So typically this is because people don't know what to do. They aren't sure how to interact, they aren't sure if they should interact, and they aren't sure how to assess the situation. So this is something that we're going to be talking to you about. All right, so we have a film here. This is Lacey Green, and talking about consent, sexual assault, and how to really engage in healthy sexual activity.
Oh, hi babes! You know what is so deliciously hot to me? I'm with a person I like and there's a little bit of sexual tension, and then they lean over and they're like, can I kiss you? I don't make that sound, usually. Why is it so sexy? Because they asked for consent if it was okay, which shows one, that they respect me, and two, that they've got some basic sexual communication down. Hot. But consent isn't just hot, it's also mandatory. Sexual contact without consent is assault or rape. Here's the thing, people often think of sexual coercion as something that's, violent or physically restraining. In reality, sexual coercion is often much more subtle. It happens between two people who know and maybe even trust each other. The perpetrator will use pressure, manipulation, drugs, alcohol, and force to initiate sexual contact without permission. And worse, in the real world, sexual coercion is often seen as acceptable. Like pushing someone over and over and over after they've said no, or throwing yourself on someone without warning because it's romantic. No, that shit's not romantic. It's just creepy and salty and rapey. So can you not do that? Are you enjoying yourself? How does that feel? Do you like that? Do you want me to keep going? How far do you want to go? You look uncomfortable, are you okay? Good consent is basically just checking in. It's paying attention to someone's body language, how they're doing. It's keeping those lines of communication open so that everyone's on the same page and everyone feels safe and comfortable, which means this is not how you ask for consent. Nope. Come on, I thought you liked me. I promise you'll like it. Just do it for me. What's the big deal? We've had sex before. I'm so horny right now. You liked it last weekend. Douchebag alert! Also, potential rapist alert. Rapists often see sex as something that's owed to them. Sex is never something that's owed to someone. Doesn't matter if you've been flirting, if you hooked up before, if they bought you dinner, not even if you're naked. Pushing someone until they finally give in is not consent because you're basically not giving the option to say no. So how can you know if someone is consenting once you ask? Yes, please. Oh man, that feels so good.
Touch my body, put me on the floor.
Keep going. I'm down for anything in these areas, but not these areas. Yeah, right there. Why, yes, I would like that. Notice how consent is a clear yes. It's enthusiastic. I want it. It's out loud and there's no doubt in your mind. And remember, consent can always be retracted. So if you feel like the vibes have kind of changed or you're unsure, getting mixed signals, you want to check in. This is what no might sound like. I don't like that. Can you stop? I'm not ready for this. Can we slow down for a second? I'm not into this anymore. I guess, if you want me to. Please don't. Just because someone doesn't say no doesn't mean they're saying yes. They might feel uncomfortable or guilty or not know how to say it. So that is why it's really important to hear that verbal out loud yes. And if they're being quiet, ask them, hey, how you doing? What's up? How's it going? Everything okay? And that, my dears, basically in a nutshell, is how you practice good consent. So now I want to talk about some situations where consent cannot happen, even with a verbal yes. Sometimes people get drunk. You may have learned this about the world. When it comes to sex, a little bit of alcohol isn't a big deal. But if they're too drunk to drive, they're too drunk to give consent, period. Getting sexual with someone who's wasted, slurring their words, their body's limp, they can't communicate clearly, maybe they're throwing up, that's absolutely sexual assault. Let's all do the right thing and take care of them, not take advantage of them. Sometimes when I'm at schools, people ask me, well, what if they're both really, really drunk? It's pretty simple. Sex is an active thing. It requires the intentional action of at least one party to get it done. Remember, sex isn't something that happens to someone. It's something that happens together. Both people participating, like this. Kind of. Having sex with someone who's intoxicated or in this compromised state is against the law. You can be expelled and you can go to jail for it. Age of legal consent, it varies by state, it varies by country, but for an adult to have sex with a minor is statutory rape. And in general, when people are in two very different parts of their life, it raises some red flags. This ties in with situation number 3. You hold authority over them. You can't get consent from someone who you have power over. So I'm talking about things like teachers and doctors, therapists, coaches, priests, caregivers, famous actors, maybe even famous YouTubers with their fans. When one party depends on the other, when they trust them, rely on them, when they idolize them, it severely impairs their ability to consent. Why? Power dynamics like these come with strong underlying vulnerabilities, which can give the appearance of consensual sex when it's actually exploitative, someone abusing their power. We need to make open lines of communication and consent just a standard, normal part of sex, not a situation where most teenagers can't even describe what consent is. We do have the power to change it as individuals, and by spreading this information to other people, we can help to create something called consent culture. That's a culture where all the sex that is had is sex that is wanted, and that's how it should be, but that's not how it is.
Give me all the consent. I'm ready.
I love you all so much, and I will see you again next time. Mwah! Bye-bye.
So just a quick review, you can read on your screen a list of what consent is and what consent is not. All right, so at this point in time, we're gonna have two of our students come up on stage, two of our brave volunteers, to act out two scenes, and then we're gonna ask for some audience feedback.
All right, so can we get our two volunteers to come up here, please? All right, so thank you to our brave volunteers who have decided to come up here to help us out with a scenario. All right, so what is your name?
Melissa.
Melissa, thank you.
I'm Megan.
Awesome. So Melissa and Megan are going to be playing two characters, and your character's name is?
Chris.
Okay, and yours, Megan?
Sam.
All right. So Chris and Sam were at a house party, and I'm just going to give you a little synopsis about what's going to happen. Okay. So it's Friday night, and Chris and Sam are at a house party. Chris and Sam recognized each other from a math class they have together, but they never actually really talked. Throughout the night, they've been making eye contact while mingling with friends. Towards the end of the evening, Chris and Sam find themselves sitting on the couch together. They started talking. See.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh my gosh, we have that math class together. That quiz was so hard. I hope it's graded on the curve, and no one did very good. I mean, I hope you scored well, just not too well.
Yeah, it was a rough quiz for sure. I think whatever you lack in math skills, you make up with in looks. I didn't realize how hot you are. That shirt really brings out the color of your eyes.
Yeah, you're much better looking in person.
You seem a little faded. Let me take you upstairs.
This couch is so comfy. Let's stay here and chill. Plus, I need another drink.
You're such a tease. I'll help you up. I want to get to know you better, somewhere private. Let's go where it's quiet.
You're so sweet, but I don't think so. Not tonight.
Okay, that's cool. Let's stay here. I will take what I can get with you, and I want you to be comfortable.
All right, and scene. Okay. So now we're going to have some questions relating to this scenario that you just witnessed. So thank you, Melissa and Megan, for playing Chris and Sam. All right, friends. So after watching that scenario, do you believe that there was affirmative consent established between Chris and Sam?
Yes.
No, I'm not sure.
Maybe.
Kind of, possibly.
Almost.
Okay. So for those that think that there was affirmative consent being established, what led you to think that there was affirmative consent? What are some things that you saw that might lead you to say that, yeah, affirmative consent was established? Okay, so for some of you that said that, yes, you believe that this is affirmative consent, what made you lead to believe that affirmative consent was established? What things might Chris or Sam said that led you to believe that, yeah, that it was enthusiastic consent?
They were both flirting.
Sam winked at Chris.
Sam said Chris was sweet.
Sam didn't say no.
Chris didn't force Sam to go anywhere when they did want to.
Okay. All right. So we're not really sure. It sounds like there was possible affirmative consent. For those that said no, affirmative consent was not established, what are some things that led you to believe that it was not affirmative consent at all?
Sam didn't even have the opportunity.
Or respond about being kissed because Chris just did it without asking.
Okay.
So that's the whole thing.
Oh, see the whole thing
Yeah.
for that one?
Yep.
Okay, that was...
Okay, so we'll backtrack.
He could just start with him.
Sam didn't have the opportunity to choose or respond about being kissed because Chris did it without asking.
Sam seemed more into partying than Chris. Sam was drunk.
Okay, so from what we believed and what we've learned so far, how do you know someone is drunk, right? What are some of the indicators of that? And one of the things when we talked about affirmative consent is that if someone is intoxicated, whether or not they could be slightly intoxicated or very intoxicated to the point of passing out, that affirmative consent cannot be what? Established, right? Okay. So if you were in this situation and you notice that, you're watching this scenario unfold, maybe at the party, what are some things that you can do to intervene and be like a cougar upstander? I'm going to pull an audience member. Any volunteers there? Okay, we got one person volunteer. Please come on up. Thank you so much. All right. Hi, what's your name?
Will.
Will, nice to meet you, Kathy. All right, well, so if you were at this house party and you noticed that Chris and watching Chris and Sam was really intoxicated, and you know that Chris was trying to lean in and try to separate Sam from the party, what are some things that you might have done to be a cougar upstander?
Well, I would go up, guide Sam away, and say, I've been looking all over for you.
Okay, great. So using like a interrupt and separate kind of method. All right, awesome. Yeah. So that's definitely one way that you can intervene without escalating the situation by pretending to go up there and say, hey, I've been looking for you. Let's grab some food, and interrupt and then pull them away from that. Awesome. Thank you very much, Will. Okay, so as we saw earlier in Lacey Green's video, one of the things that we were discussing is that if someone's intoxicated or drunk, that consent cannot be really established, especially affirmative consent. So in this scenario, it happens way too often, right? When you're at a house party and there could be alcohol, you could be consuming, and maybe you're meeting someone for the first time, or maybe you hooked up before, maybe once. How can you really gauge whether someone is really intoxicated or not? What are some of the indicators that you're looking for? Because really, honestly, it's up to you to assess whether that situation is safe and whether or not consent is really established and whether or not affirmative consent is established. So how do you know you got that affirmative consent? Is it enthusiastic, like Lacey Green says, right? So what are the indicators are you going to be looking for? How do you assess that?
Slurred speech.
Okay.
They may be off balance and falling down.
Off balance, loss of coordination, okay.
I see how many drinks that they're drinking, and it's, a lot.
Okay, a lot of drinking.
Vomiting.
Yeah, vomiting is surely a good sign that someone has way too much alcohol, right? And they're totally intoxicated. So now if you were there at the party, and let's just say you notice that this scenario is going on, and Sam is sitting on the couch and she's kind of leaning over, as you notice, she's kind of slurred speech like you were talking about, and you're assessing the situation that she's intoxicated. And then Chris over here is really trying to remove Sam from this situation and bring her upstairs. What can you do as a cougar upstander? So can I have a volunteer from the audience member? Awesome, come on down. Thank you so much. Hi, and your name is?
Will.
Nice to meet you, Will. Okay, Will. So let's just say you're at the party right now, right? And you're noticing this scenario unfold. What would you do to step up and intervene without maybe escalating the situation?
I would go up and guide Sam and say, I've been looking for you all night.
Okay, awesome. So maybe you don't really know Sam, right? Mm-hmm. But you can definitely intervene by interrupt and separate Sam because you see her, you care about her, you don't want her to get into a high-risk situation like this, right? And stopping sexual violence from happening. So that's awesome. You're a cougar upstander. Thank you so much. You go ahead and have a seat. So yeah, so one of the things that you can do is interrupt and separate. Even though you may not know the person, you can go over there and say, hey, I've been looking for you, let's go grab some pizza. Or you say, hey, your friends are looking for you. Let's grab you and bring her to another location. Other things that you can do is like distraction method. If you see something going on, some people say they turn on the lights, and that might stop whatever activity that's happening, or turn down the music. Another thing is directly confront the person. So if in a non-aggressive manner. So if you notice that's going on, you say, hey, what you doing? She's really intoxicated. That if you actually engage with someone intimately and they're intoxicated, that's not affirmative consent. So there's a lot of ways that you can definitely do it. Whatever you do, want to make sure that it's safe for you to intervene, obviously the number one thing. And if you don't feel comfortable, you can always grab someone else, grab a friend to help you with the intervention. But the most important thing is that we try to encourage you, if it's safe to do so, to do something. If you see something, say something or do something. Okay? Thanks, Cougars.
Okay, we have a second scenario for you all to see. We have our amazing actors back up here. They will be playing the role of Alex and Jamie. So let me set the scene for you. Jamie and Alex have been hooking up randomly for a couple of months now, but they have not had sex. They are currently hanging out in Jamie's bedroom for Netflix and chill. After making out and getting naked, Jamie looks at Alex and says, "Scene."
Tonight has been really fun. How about we take this all the way?
What do you mean? Haven't you liked what we've been doing so far?
Yes, I've loved it, which makes me really want to have sex with you. Your body is lit. I've been so patient. Please.
You are so funny. I think you were sexy too, but really tonight, right now?
Well, let's go with it and let it happen. I have protection and we can stop any time.
All right, I guess it could be fun.
Okay, now that we've seen our scene with Jamie and Alex, do you all think that there was affirmative consent or not? What are your thoughts?
Yes.
No.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Okay, so a little bit of confusion. What might be some indicators that there was affirmative consent? Why might someone argue, like, yeah, I had affirmative consent?
They've been hooking up for a while.
They're naked.
Alex said, all right.
Yeah, absolutely. So there might be reasons why they thought they did have affirmative consent, right? There wasn't necessarily a no. So why might there be indicators that there was not affirmative consent?
Alex seemed hesitant. They did not say a clear yes. It seemed Alex was convinced to say yes.
Okay. So yeah, and that's a great point that I think is a nuance of affirmative consent. You cannot get affirmative consent by wearing somebody down or talking them into having any kind of sexual activity. You can't really sort of convince them eventually. That's considered coercion, so that would not be somebody freely consenting. So this is kind of a cultural thing that we find. Why might it be hard for Alex to say no to Jamie? Why might it be hard for people in general to say no to someone or in a situation like this?
They don't want to hurt the other person's feelings.
They don't want the other person to stop liking them.
Maybe they're afraid to say no.
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of reasons why someone may have a hard time saying no. And part of this too is we really want to make sure that people are able and ready to communicate what sexual boundaries that they do have. A part of affirmative consent is communication. So it's so important that you all are aware of, what do I like? What do I not like? What feels good? Do I want to, have my partner do a handstand while we're doing something, or have multiple partners? There's so many options when it comes to affirmative consent. So please be ready to ask and be ready to answer when it comes to affirmative consent.